You know, everyone always asks why this one tactic is so effective for all the top tier pro players, but when they use it, why do they struggle with it? Whether they change their tactics, they use balance, they use direct passing, but why is this specific tactic work so well for pros, but not for yourself? Now, what's the tactic in question? Because that's probably why you clicked on this video in the first place. It is the 4-4-2. Have you ever wondered why the pros use the 4-3-2-1? But they make it defend in a 4-4-2 as opposed to a 4-3-2-1. It's because the 4-4-2 is probably the best formation for pressing inside the game, because the way the team is set up now, when I mean 4-4-2, I mean like all the branches of it. Realistically, in my opinion, as I mentioned, the 4-2-4 is the best one. It's basically a 4-4-2 with just left wing and right wing, so left mid, right mid, a bit more attacking. That is a difference. But why is this formation trump and why it's so difficult to play is average players don't know when and where to move those players. The issue with this formation, which most of you guys that are watching this will struggle with, is that you don't have that central cam player. That is why I would always recommend a 3-5-2, because a 3-5-2, remember, is just a 4-4-2 with an extra cam. That's all that is. That's why the 3-5-2 is one of the best formations inside the game. But the 4-4-2, it is the one of the best, but it depends on your skill level. Now, what a lot of the top tier pros do, I'm just going to show you an example, is they'll normally have one CDM, which is going to be the defensive player that's going to be on stay back while attacking, and you're going to have the other player, that's the attacking player. Now, naturally, what they do is they trigger that player to go forward, and they make that player a virtual cam. That's one way. The second way is they like to use left stick dribbling, and they get the ball in with some of these players. Now, this is the most important thing to bear in mind, I would say. When you are going forward and you are trying to build up and you're trying to dribble with your left stick, this is where the skill gap is going to differ between whether you're like a gold player or whether you're a top tier elite player. So it's very, very important that you focus on the left stick dribbling. I'm going to show you a couple of gameplay examples. I'm going to show you maybe a gameplay example in a second, maybe tomorrow actually. I use the 4-4-2, but that is why the pros excel so much on a 4-4-2. And that is why you yourself may struggle with the 4-4-2. As I said, the 3-5-2 is the better option. The next thing that's more important than people really think is the 4-2-2. And the 4-4-2 have two things. Well, the 4-4-2 second variation, the 4-2-2 have two things basically in common. And that is the use of CDMs. Now, the issue is, if you're probably a rank 3 player and above, you may know this, well, you probably know this already. But the 4-2-2, with CDMs, they sit deeper. It actually makes it harder for you to press the ball. When you have a flat 4 and they stand in the row and they're not CDMs, as being centre mids, they sit higher on the pitch. And that allows you to press the ball quicker. So not only is it better for win the ball back and defending, it's also good for pressing the ball. And that is why, you know, down the wing, you got a 2v2 most of the time. So you don't really get outnumbered. And of course, what's the main thing is, it attacks in a 2-striker formation. That is the main difference. Have you ever wondered what's the difference between a 4-2-3-1 and a 4-2-2? What's the difference? These two are both very, very similar formations, but what's the difference between them? Except for one has a cam, one has a striker, and the other one has 2 strikers. That is why the 4-2-3-1 naturally become better to play with. The 4-2-3-1. Whichever one you use, it doesn't really matter. It's because you have that cam play. That's the put. If that striker was over there, then it would be a 2-striker formation. And that is why I always go back to it. That is why the 3-5-2, it trumps every formation, because there's also a 4-2-3-1 with an extra striker. You see that? It's a 4-2-3-1 with an extra striker that basically removes one of the defensive players. So if you do struggle with getting the grasp of the 4-4-2 or the let's say you're like Neil, I can't use a 4-4-2 because I haven't got a cam. I can't use a 4-2-3-1, or I can, but I want to be more attacking. That is where you use the 3-5-2. And that is why I always put my 3-5-2 in some of the top tier formations inside the game. Don't forget, if you want to see more in-depth videos like this, where I go over each formation. In fact, on my Patreon series, I got 3 videos and gameplay videos on each formation in complete detail for the 3-5-2, 4-4-2 and 4-2-3-1, and why they're always up there with being the top 3 formations inside the game in every iteration of FC and the previous FIFAs as well. So that is the difference. And that is why a top tier player may use the 4-4-2 exponentially better than yourself. The second thing really comes to player choice. As I mentioned a bit earlier on, I want to have a gameplay coming out in a few days time as well. But the centre mid can also play that cam role. That is why you'd want someone like a Hullet, maybe a box-to-box player. But again, it's the left stick dribbling, which is the skill. This is a very high skill thing to do. There's two things that you need to do with the 4-4-2 is use teammate contain and of course left stick dribbling. They're both very high skill things to do in their own respect. Left dribbling, of course, anyone can do it and anyone can use teammate contain. But to use teammate contain properly, people mess it up. Why do you think I never teach teammate contain? I only teach it for elite level only because you don't need it until you get to elite division. Am I saying you shouldn't use it? It's a debatable one. Most people, they use incorrectly. I think you should use teammate contain from division 10, but most people don't know how to use it. They use it to bring a player out of position. You need to be able to use teammate contain with one player and run back with the other player. And if you're part of the Patreon, in fact, there's a 3-hour pressing video and teammate contain video where I explain this in detail, how teammate contain works from last year, the theory and the gameplay of that as well. But you have to understand how teammate contain works, and that is how they're able to take this level to formation to the next level, because two strikers is what you fundamentally need, and that's why it's so overpowered. In terms of the tactics, you can pretty much go with anything. I would say people go with balanced direct passing. I'll be honest, I think long ball and forward runs is probably the best combination for people to use with the 4-4-2. If you struggle with a 4-4-2, I promise you long ball and forward runs are really going to help you. If you want, you can also do balanced and forward runs. Forward runs makes the formation more attacking, but that is why you don't always want that player to be unbalanced. And this is the big thing, because those that stay to the end of this video, this is the biggest difference now. When it comes to centre mids, you know why all pros lead them on stay back while attacking? It's because they can trigger this player themselves manually. When this player like Alexia is unbalanced, that player just decides to go forward on their own. And sometimes you'll get the ball with Valverde, and you know what I'm thinking about. Go back, close your eyes, think about when you're inside a game. How many times have you lost the ball with your centre mid in the 4-4-2 because you've got no one to pass the ball with? Your left mid and right mid, they're too far, they're too wide apart, and there's no one to pass the ball with. And that is why it's better to keep them on stay back and use the L1 trigger, and you push them forward when you're not pushing them forward to go inside the box, you're pushing them forward just to pass the ball to them. So that is why you get isolated in this formation, because when you have the ball with Valverde, the issue is that Valverde has the ball by himself, but you have Alexi going inside the box, and you may not have that skill level to do left stick dribbling and be able to rotate the ball. That is the biggest difference. You don't believe me? Go watch how any pro player plays the 4-4-2. Even if you watch now, FC Proverbs, people using the 4-3-2-1. See how they use the 4-4-2 and how they go forward in regards to that. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. It's a bit of more of an information video on one of the best formations inside the game, one of the best pressing formations inside the game. Hope you enjoyed this video. I might do a full tactic review on this one as well. But thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you want to see more videos like this, and don't forget more in-depth FC tutorial in terms of like how does a formation work, the theory, what each position does, you can check out my Patreon, so it's patreon.com/nil guys. Links down in the description. Don't go about 1 month, I'll refund you, man. That's a nil month. I can't even speak. That's a nil guys guarantee. The faster I say every single time, the more I mess it up. But anyway, links down in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.